we start.
Cheers.
As always.
Cheers. Boys.
Okay.
Cheers.
Okay, here we go. Okay, everyone, welcome to episode 2 of an Okei podcast. Again, I am Wade from Maxattack Motorsports. Of course, we have Vince and Vincent. And today, on today's episode, we're joined by one of our really, really good buddies, Jason.
How's it going?
So he runs Northrides as well as Inner Circle. So I think today we're going to get involved with that and how he kind of grew up and how he kind of got into the Northrides stuff. Touch on some other things as well. So, but Jason, thanks for being here, buddy.
Absolutely, I wouldn't miss it.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm stoked.
Yeah.
And we got a lot of stuff to talk about. You know, I do Northrides Orangeville, obviously in Orangeville. That's been going on for 9 years now. We took a brief hiatus just before COVID, and during COVID, reintroduced the car group because we were all sick of being stuck indoors and thought, okay, we're outside, can do car meets, hang out, and since then it's been on track to be pretty good. Like, there are not too many shows or meets that I like going to, but the people that I've met through Northrides and a few other meets, it's been fantastic. Some of my best friends today I've met through Northrides and a couple other meets, and wouldn't trade it. It's fun stuff.
That's seriously like what it's all about, right? And like me personally, for like as we try to continue to shine light on, crews and stuff like that in Southern Ontario and whatnot, for anyone that's watching that does attend Northrides, this is a good opportunity for them to actually meet you as a person, opposed to just who runs Northrides. So
right.
You and I met somewhat through a mutual friend, but we did a deal on Kijiji or Facebook Marketplace. Yeah, so that's how like you and I came about. I sold you spacers, I think,
for my Mark 1 TT.
Yes.
And we just started talking, and I saw the RX-7 in the garage, and it's funny. And now we're planning a show together, which is
seriously
pretty funny.
Seriously,
and
what's that? That's like a fast forward button.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally, like we were talking about it earlier, like just like even starting this now and how it. Like potentially if it gets big and stuff like that, like where we are now, like compared to what we might be in a couple of years, right? So,
studio a couple of years.
Could you imagine?
Yes,
bro.
100%. It would be like Mighty Car Mods. They got to build their own studio and everything.
Is there super garage?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That'd be
That's
sick.
that's like what I want to do with Kaizo, to have a space like that.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Where it's for content creation, but also just as a rad place to hang out.
The dream, man.
Just have a garage.
Yeah.
This is a good start. I can't complain. This is more than I.
Look at the setup. It's fantastic. It's amazing.
It's everything you need, but having some space really adds to the ability to
just keep buying small cars, and you got lots of space.
That's the key. So you understand.
I
So
understand.
for those who don't know, Jason is a fellow K-Truck owner like myself.
Let's go.
He's got the Honda Acti. He's part of the trifecta. We've got 3 guys in the group that have K-Trucks. So how did you get into that?
Honestly, I like really slow, small cars. I have an MG Midget. Prior to that, I had a Type 3 Volkswagen, a W108 Mercedes on bags, and a Miata prior to that. My fastest car was actually my first car, a Mark 5 GTI, which isn't saying much because that's 200 horsepower.
No comment.
Right? But
no comment on Volkswagens.
Yeah, that's why I don't have any now. But I got into the K-Truck I've always liked oddball vehicles. Like being in my 20s and driving an MG is an anomaly because most people are like on the golden years of their life that have MGs. So I had the roadster kind of vibe, and I thought, okay, what's something more practical that I can put the merch for Northrides, so hoodies and stickers and stuff, because nothing fits in the midget, and this is perfect, a K-Truck. And so the other guy that we know in the trifecta, Jonathan with the Sandbar, I saw his photo come up on Instagram, and I saw it was a K-Truck with Ontario plates, and I reached out to him and said, hey, like I'd love to come down to see if I fit, because like I'm 6 foot. I wasn't sure. I didn't know anybody really with K-Trucks at the time. And he ended up coming up to one of my Northrides meets, and we used the same guy, Bijan Imports, Owen. Shout out to him.
Shout out.
Owen, I need to talk to you. I need to talk to you, Owen.
Yep, and
I shouldn't talk to you.
Once.
Yeah, once to talk.
When it comes to K-Trucks,
Yeah.
it is a need. People don't realize everybody needs one of these.
K-Truck best
Dude, I sat in this one today, the first time, and I know you guys are talking about like you are the crumple zone in the K-Truck.
Yeah.
I'm like, you guys probably can't see it on camera. People that know me in person will know about this. I am tiny compared to these guys. You know what I mean? So, yeah, like I fit perfectly in there. I think it'd be an awesome truck to have in general, right?
Oh yeah.
So,
No, but with having the K truck, it's in great shape. It's about to hit 14,000 kilometers on it for
It's
a
like
98.
a motorcycle.
yeah, that's not
Yeah.
much, man.
Yeah, no, it's really good shape, and it's been a fun little merch truck to have for Northrides.
It's iconic for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Hey, you.
Yeah.
And then my other car at the moment, the MG Midget, is just a fun little car. 65 horsepower, so really leaning into the slow car vibe.
What's the combination between the two of them?
Maybe 100.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe.
You're
You
in
know?
rotary territory with me.
Yeah, pretty
Oh
much.
my gosh.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
The Midget, I like the Midget because it weighs 1,600 pounds, and also is like you are the crumple zone in that car. But it's a lot of fun.
Did you have a motor and a fire? You know, some
That's
stuff
true.
ahead of you?
Yeah.
That's true.
You're a
In
real
the
man. You
cave.
don't have an airbag.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or anything.
It's
you know?
funny with John because I met John kind of in a similar circumstance. So I was in a meet, just like a park and chill in Milton,
Mhm.
and so I had already got the kit for the truck, and
Okay.
I can't remember if I pulled the trigger. I may have already like made the decision to get the carry, but I saw his sandbar when it was still white, like he
Right.
I guess somewhat recently got it, and I
Yeah.
walked up to him, didn't know him, and I was like, "Hey man, do you mind if I sit in this? Because I just wanted to see
See if
if
you
I
fit."
could fit."
Yeah.
Like for me, I think I was already past the point of return anyways.
Yeah.
But I was like, it'd be nice to know. And I
know.
got in his. I was like, oh yeah, I could handle this. Headroom was what I was more worried about, and
Right.
that was fine. You know. And for the record, I'm 6'5".
Yeah. I'm 5'6".
And now we're both stuck with Jonathan, but we like him.
He's how big, dude?
Oh yeah.
Get out of here.
I'm not editing this out. I'm not editing it out.
Of course.
Again, this is the early days of
Okay,
Doryoko, right? So, oh my
man.
god, I can't get over that. Okay, so
Always.
how so again with what we were talking about earlier, we kind of touched on it, but so you brought the K truck in. How was the process with that? Because most people here are probably a little bit nervous, myself included, on trying to import a car from Japan, from the Caribbean, from anywhere really. But
Even the States.
yeah,
Yeah.
even the States is a little tough too, right?
There's so much red tape. Like,
Yeah.
what's a good example? Oh, when they tried to legalize the GTR back in the early '90s, Motor X.
Okay, there you go.
Motor X didn't do the crash testing or the right paperwork, and whoever bought a GTR from Motor X pretty much got repossessed.
Oh wow.
And that's why everyone's just like, oh, big thing with the R34 becoming legal now.
Yeah.
Motor X really goofed that and put the movement back 10 plus years.
It's much easier here because of the 15-year rule.
Yeah.
And like with my experience with bringing in the Acti, Owen made it very easy at Pigeon Imports. Like he dealt with everyone at the auction, the ports, bringing it over. There was some delays with the ship because some delay at the time with construction equipment leaving Japan.
Okay.
They were prioritizing that because I had been sitting at the dock so long, so a lot of vehicles were sitting for a while. But I was able to, through Owen, have a contact with someone at the port to make sure it wasn't sitting outside by the saltwater or anything. Because with my truck, there's no rust really on it. It's in great shape.
it's really
so
clean.
We were worried that it was, sitting outside, but no issue.
Being in the rice paddies.
Yeah, exactly. But no, the process was extremely simple, and then bringing it once it got into the port in BC, it was simple. Safe Auto are the ones that towed it across, and it got here in about a week, and then Ontario title, everything, insurance ready to go,
Jesus.
and now I'm blocking traffic everywhere I go.
Seriously, right?
You know?
And then with the MG2, so I mean,
Still blocking traffic.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Again, they're both
catching
whatever.
fire.
But you have another one too, right? That you're doing a build on or
Yeah,
something.
so my dad and I were building a midget race car. So I had listed my midget for sale, and now between the two of us, there's 3 midgets.
Okay.
So
Wow.
yeah, I wanted to get rid of one. Now we've got 3. So we're not exactly sure what direction yet to take with that. One of them we got because of the engine, the 1275 engine that's in my midget. It's the desired engine if you're getting into these cars. It's the same one from the Mini Cooper S. Higher revving, can take a bit more abuse. Later midgets have a 1500. That's more like a truck cruising motor.
Sure.
So we got one for that engine, 1275, but body was rotten. So then we got one with the later engine, solid body, crappy engine. But now it's like, oh shoot, maybe we'll just swap something into it, because to get a 1275 A series to 100 horsepower for that money, you can get a Miata 1.6, an SR20. Like, you can get there's a K-swap. Like, there are a lot of...
I thought it was meat coffee.
Yeah. There are a lot of directions you can take. So we're focusing right now on sorting the body, stripping it, making sure everything's good, building a cage, and then we'll kind of decide what direction to go with the car, drivetrain-wise. Mainly, the idea for this car was spending one day at Japan Classic. And that was my first track experience of actually being on track. I got a couple rides from my one friend Jordan with his Celica, and Kyle with his RX-7, and another friend Dalton with his IS-300. And I'm hooked. Like, so we're just trying to get this going, so that I've got something to bring to the track and actually have triple-digit horsepower. You know,
still one of my favorite, like, Japan Classics, like probably my favorite event of the year that we attend. One of my favorite moments is watching Jordan and you come in.
Oh,
like
the four of you playing Freebird.
Yeah,
it's amazing, man.
Blasting
Amazing.
Freebird in the car. You know?
Yeah, that's amazing. But so with the MG, then, like, we kind of touched on our past cars and stuff like that, and there'll be more content to come as we go. Right. But like, why the MG? Like, were you always into, like, the British cars, or
No, they're terrible.
Yeah. Straight up.
The question is, has anything changed?
No, it's still terrible.
Yes.
No, it's not terrible. Okay, so I had it's an oddball car, shocker, a Type 3 Volkswagen Fastback.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah,
it's like a Carmen Ghia almost type of thing.
Sort of.
I was gonna say, like, Volkswagen Thing platform.
Yeah.
Max,
Okay.
Sort of.
Or Max.
Yeah.
Wade. I haven't done that in a while.
Yeah. Wow.
I need you to put a Type 3 right here.
Right here.
Yeah.
Right
Yeah.
here.
Type. Yeah. I'll get a Type 3.
So
Right here.
basically, the Type 3, a little bit of history. The Type 1 was the Beetle. Type 2 is the Bus. I think I got that right. And the Type 3 was supposed to be a upmarket version of the Beetle. It was wider, longer. A very cool thing about the Type 3s, so there was a sedan, fastback, and a station wagon, and the engine sat in the back under a false floor. So if you had a wagon, you had a frunk, like a Tesla, right back in the 60s, and you would also have all that space in the back. And it was only, I think, 16 inches tall, the engine. I had the fastback, and it was a great car, but it was a automatic. It was a 3-speed, terrible transmission. And so I got a quote from, I can't remember the name of the shop, but they're near Hamilton, about swapping a manual transmission. And to source all the parts, the axles, everything, and get the shop to do it, it was about $3,000. And I was like, do I do
Less
that?
than I would have thought, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's not bad, right?
When is this that we're talking?
This is 2018, maybe, something
Okay,
like
so
that.
it's long ago. We touched on prices, like, in the last episode about how they've changed, but
They've definitely changed.
yeah.
But then it was a good price.
Yeah.
I spoke
I've never seen
to
that before.
no,
No,
the
you
Type 3.
just sort of
Yeah.
picture that.
Oh,
They're
hell yeah, man.
cool. I should have
Bro.
kept
That almost looks like a Porsche.
a little bit.
Yeah.
I
Well,
wanted
it
to
makes
try
sense. Volkswagen, like, it's
Yeah.
like they're all kind of.
I wanted to get the
I don't want
license
to tread
plate
on them. But
POORSCH Porsche.
I gotta be careful with
But-
Volkswagen.
Porsche, that's the plate.
No, I wanted it.
Oh,
Oh,
I
nice.
should have. Which I should get that before anybody sees
know
this
what?
and
Yeah.
steals that plate.
Yeah.
You know.
Copyright.
Honestly, that's
Copyright.
probably
No,
already-
patent
that's
pending.
probably-
Probably.
Oh,
He's got
jeez.
that on
My,
there.
my buddy sent me,
Yeah.
speaking of plates, before we go back on topic, BBL Drizzy as the license plate.
Oh,
and I was like,
my God.
Damn it, should have copped that.
Yeah.
But,
No, but honestly, a year from now, that's a wait. That's like
I
no
know.
one's gonna.
Yeah.
do
That's
that.
true. That's true. But so back to the Type 3, I was like, okay, well, for $3,000, what can I buy that's already manual, right?
Mhm.
Instead of pulling out this automatic that no one's ever going to want, like, I'll just get a manual car. And years before that, I had bought a Miata for $3,000, but those are out to lunch now.
Jeez, a hardtop for me on his
I was gonna say,
Exactly. So
You get me out for $3,000, but there's no floor, no rockers. Like, it's rotted out.
exactly.
You know what I mean?
So I was like, okay, well,
It's just crazy.
I like the vintage cars.
Seriously, man.
Well, let's see how bad these British cars actually are. And I saw this midget. I think it was for sale for $3,500. Offered the guy $3,000. Brought it home. Took a while to get running, as most old cars. Fuel lines and adjusting the carburetor. It was my first carbureted car, because even that Type 3 and my 71 Mercedes was very early Bosch fuel injection.
Oh, mechanical fuel.
Wow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that came with a whole sort of problems unique to
Big
that
time.
setup. But honestly, I've had the midget now for a couple of years, and it has not let me down. And I drive that a lot more than the K truck, solely because it's a little bit steadier on the highway, more stable.
Which is kind of surprising. Oh no, I guess it's
It tops out like the engine's twice the size of the K
fact
truck.
that you could
Yeah.
go like on the highway. Is
Yeah.
even, like I would.
I could
not
do
take
one-
No,
110.
that's sketch, right?
I could do 110 comfortably in the midget, whereas the K truck, that's especially yours, that's
Oh,
pushing it. But I've taken it all over the place, up to Collingwood, Niagara Falls, everywhere from Orangeville, and it's been a good car. I don't know what direction to take with that car at the moment because I've got the midget, struggles to go on the highway and very tiny. I've got the K truck, very
Struggles
tiny,
to go on the
struggles to
highway.
go on the highway,
Yeah.
but it's more practical, and that's kind of the Northrides shop truck,
Yeah.
so gonna keep that. So I'm looking for something that can, shocker, go on the highway, and maybe triple digit horsepower, but that's not, not for a little while. So I don't know what direction to take with the midget. Thankfully, parts are very cheap. That's another thing about these cars. If somebody's looking to get into a project car, is the Miata the drift tax has affected everything. You know that a Miata's not worth $12,000. Like
No, not unless
No.
it's like
Miata's-
super low
unless
miles,
it's super
Yeah.
low,
fixed,
yeah.
like,
Super
you know,
clean,
all-
hard top included,
A
like
museum
factory-
quality
yeah,
car,
the whole
yes.
9 yards, right?
But a 200,000 kilometer needs rockers is not worth $10,000.
No.
No.
Every-
Right?
yeah,
Nowhere-
like,
But
in
you know
nowhere
what you
should it
got.
be
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
in that
And like
car.
I keep trying to push MGs onto my friends so I can, looks like I didn't make such a bad decision, but
Funny enough, like as a kid, that was always the car that was in the garage. My mom had
Yeah,
that was
everybody.
her first car. Was a '73, maybe the last year of the chrome bumper. I knew that.
No
I knew
way.
that
that's
was
what
it.
my year is.
Hers was in originally British Racing Green, which is just
Oh, it's
a
classic.
sick color. But
Quintessential.
I remember it was repainted red for us.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so like me, my mom, and my dad would be driving that, and me and my brother would be in the back space between the seats and the and like the hard top, like literally
it.
crammed
Yeah.
in there.
Love it.
You know, as kids, but
They're good cars.
Yeah.
I always like the way they look.
If
They're cool.
what's interesting is now they're still cheap. So because a lot of the Japanese stuff and Euro stuff has gotten too expensive, you see young guys doing up these cars in a way, in a JDM way, in a kind of DTM way, stuff like that. I don't know. So it's cool to see a younger generation take on these old British cars. So who knows? Maybe eventually. What I'd love to do is the track car one will have a more conventional drivetrain, and if I were to ever blow the 1275 in my orange car, I'd love to do a bike swap in that.
That'd be sick.
Some kind of leader
Yeah.
bike motor.
That'd be sick.
I just Hayabusa just popped up in my head.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's a guy in Caledon with an all-wheel drive Mini Cooper with a Busa, and it's pretty wild.
Oh, I wonder what he's not doing. Do you know anything about that?
I've
setup?
only seen the car at his shop, outside and once driving
So
by.
that's what I want to do with this thing, but
That'd be very
I'm,
cool.
I'm just scared of chain drive, so it's gonna have to be quite
Yeah.
very
The very
expensive,
expensive
quite
Dude, there's
stuff,
there's
yeah.
guys
Yeah.
like I've seen guys like put snowmobile engines in. There's a guy with an FB in the States put a snowmobile engine into an FB ARC-7.
Well,
It sounds sick, but I mean it's the same thing. It's on one drive, right? So, but
Two-stroke cars.
No.
It's pretty rad though.
It'd be pretty
Yeah.
rad. It would be
But,
pretty
Noise wise,
what? So again with the MG, I'm a huge fan of it. A lot of people know that. It's been on my top 10 and stuff like that. Give us kind of like some stuff on it. Like you did a shoot with Haggerty with it, from what I remember, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
that's big.
we
Yeah.
did a Haggerty shoot. So a friend of mine, Clayton, he's got a really nice MGB late model. He just supercharged it actually, and he's a writer for Haggerty and reached out about doing an article about old British cars and younger people. MGs and Millennials is the name of the article. And so
Sick
I
name.
brought
Sick name for an
I know,
article. Yeah.
I brought two friends along with me. My friend Colin with an Austin Healey Sprite and Josh Crawford with an old classic Mini Cooper. And we all met up, and it was very interesting, especially because the person writing it, Clayton, is also a younger guy. And hearing his take, it's not an old guy saying, yes, these old young kids, and it's obviously they like it, why wouldn't they, So it was very cool to do that shoot for Haggerty and stuff like that. I don't think these MGs in particular will ever really increase too much in value, because if you think of an old car, it's an MGB, right? Everyone's
Yeah.
grandfather had one, or their dad or whatever. Like, which kind of makes it nice for people that want to get into modifying cars because it's easy. Parts are, you can buy a new shell brand new from the UK. Like, there's no issue with getting parts. Whereas with certain JDM cars or Euro cars, you can go down the rabbit hole of trying to find the correct things.
Like a GTR.
Yes, you can.
Like a GTR.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen, like, I've been lucky enough to see, like, with the Vintage Festival and stuff like that at CTMP and stuff like that, there's a good following of British cars there, and usually get the TR6s, which is a pretty good thing.
Or Sunbeam Tiger.
There's something really cool about British, but specifically British racing.
Oh,
yeah.
British
the
roadsters.
vibe of that, where it's just like real, like cars that everybody knew.
Yeah.
Anything could blow up at any moment.
Which they do.
I just love the whole. I like the whole like English countryside, ripping through like the bush and stuff like that. Like
I think of Isle of Man, like TT stuff.
Yeah.
Just like, that's like the manliest of all motorsports.
Oh,
in my
it's amazing, man.
Which is also the most ridiculous.
You
Like,
can
Isle of Man, you need 4 ball sacks to run. Like honestly,
Oh.
some of the
2 ain't enough.
some of the speeds that these guys go, like even
it's
the,
nuts.
It
the
is
motorcycles
On a bike, yeah.
It is wild.
It's crazy, but even now, like, so like Goodwood obviously does a big revival and stuff like that, and to see some of the racing there, like they do the hill climb, they have their own revival circuit.
But Goodwood is still safe.
It is. It's very. It's tame
you don't
compared
hear about,
to.
You don't hear about like the regular 3 people getting killed every event. You know.
But I just love like seeing that British car go around a corner and all 4 wheels are drifting.
Oh yeah.
And like just, I don't know. It's kind of hard. Like I'm a big motorsport guy, as you guys know, but like it just has that pedigree in it. Like it's British motorsport pedigree, man.
Similar to how I feel about DTM stuff. When you say
DTM is
sick.
badass.
It's the vibe somehow feels JDM. Even
Yeah.
though it's not really, but it has that like
D-
low, like really
Crazy bodies.
crazy body kits. Like, you know,
Owning the MG kind of shifted my perspective on what it means to have a modified car. So my first car, the GTI, was pretty much stock intake, blow off valve, stuff like that. My first project was an NA Miata. And this is probably going back 2015, 2016, and stance cars were, like, that's what was in. And my Miata was never, like, balls to the wall, scraping frame or anything, but with the coils and the wheels and stuff, I kind of ruined how it handled because I was focused on getting that rear camber, hiding as much of the tire wall as possible.
So you were a tilty boy.
Yeah.
I was, once upon a time.
I think
it's so funny how pretty much every first car you put coils on, rides worse than it. It's going to be worse off than it was before
absolutely.
you touched it.
And after that, or while I had that car, I had bought my Mercedes and air suspension, all that stuff. And again, it was a car to just cruise around in, as was the Miata, because I ruined the handling characteristics of that car. So it was just cruising. And then I got to my Volkswagen, which I also lowered, cruising. The Midget's the first car where I kind of went into the direction of, oh wow, this thing weighs nothing, drives like a go-kart. Let me modify this in a way that it amplifies that part of driving, right? And so since having that car now, okay, any future car, I want to focus on that. I don't care as much to just cruise around. I enjoy that. I would love to do another bagged lowrider or something, but it just reinvigorated that love of like, oh, let's drive it.
Yeah, you feel the car. Like I've done some pretty dumb mods, like for my cars too.
We all
you have to though, because you need to know what
you have to learn.
Doesn't work.
We kept plastic in business.
Oh, bro, I was like, man, my Tiburon.
Man,
you don't even have to say anymore. Stop it, Tiburon.
My Tiburon was so. I had plastic dipped everything. I rolled the fenders with a Louisville Slugger.
Oh,
I used phone books.
And I did everything. Like I think I mentioned before. I've mentioned at some point, but like I had the JDM shocker, like just so many stupid mods, and like DC Sports exhaust, which was like massive back then, right?
Yep.
But it was my first experience with HIDs, so like I had a great time doing it, but like I hung the ballast up with like, I don't know, some
zip ties?
Probably
no,
zip
it wasn't
ties.
even zip ties. It was like those twisty ties you get from when you go to like no
Like
frills.
hanger wire? Oh god.
Like when you go to put like pairs.
I was gonna say, is it like the ones you seal up like sandwich bags?
Yeah. So I used like stuff like that. It was brutal, man. It was brutal, but I'm sure. I mean, I know you have a big history with cars too, and Vincent yourself. But I can only imagine like what mods you guys maybe did too, and
that we regret.
Oh yeah, like we all went through phases, right? And that's where I think
A lot of embarrassing stickers.
big time.
We all had a
Yeah.
no club sticker.
Yeah.
Just kidding. That wasn't that bad.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
We're a
No
bit-
shade,
we're-
no shade.
We're a bit older than Jason too, so
Yeah,
for us,
yeah.
like, there's things that
He's coming
we
out of that
probably
phase.
started that we regretted.
Oh,
that,
yeah.
that kind of
Yeah.
carried on.
Oh yeah, like
you know?
no name intakes and no name headers and exhaust and whatever. You're just like, oh yeah, horsepower. Just like no.
Dude, my intake on my Tiburon was made. I went to JRP. Shout out JRP, great shop. I went to JRP and I spent like I think it was like $90 on some like vibrant performance like pipe that I can make my own cuts. But I spent $2
DIY intake.
$2 okay on plumbing couplers from Home Depot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Rubber's rubber, man.
oh yeah,
That's it.
I didn't touch anything before the MAF sensor, any of that stuff. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, I'm making this intake. Meanwhile, everything's still constricted at the manifold, and I was like, well, as long as I put a AEM filter on, I'll be fine. It was stupid, man. I should have bought like an inch and one, and the way it called it a day.
That
right?
was probably the
any
most
other
expensive
car
part of that
besides
intake.
the
Was the
It was,
Just
seriously.
avoid tip rods
It was.
in general.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
Mhm.
But
That's one of those cars that like there won't come a time where like, oh, you know what, these are still kind of
Yeah.
It's like no.
no,
Well, I
let
wish
him
it
die.
would
You're
come
done.
back in rear-wheel drive and turbo, but
Well, the
it's
Genesis,
just
the Genesis did everything that the Tiburon should have
Should've
been.
it should have been, yeah.
You know,
Right.
No,
And
no,
look, and look what happened. Look what
Yeah.
happened with those.
Yeah, just like the Hyundai Pony.
well,
The what?
The Hyundai Pony.
I don't even know what that is.
it's a rear-wheel drive little
didn't know
hatchback
those
type of
were
thing,
the
yeah.
Pony?
Hyundai
Sick,
Pony.
man.
So okay,
It's tiny.
I was
So,
never a Honda
when-
guy.
I
when
put one
Hyundai-
right here so everyone could see.
Yeah.
when Hyundai came out, it was the Hyundai Pony, Hyundai Stellar,
Mhm.
and eventually it was the
Accent,
Hyundai.
wasn't
No. What was before the Accent? Stellar, Pony, and
Are we talking like K car style? Like K when I say like Chrysler K car style?
no.
no,
'Cause there
the,
was Hondas that looked like you would have thought it was a Chrysler.
So the
back in
Pony
day.
Right.
little hatchback.
the Pony came to Canada, or Hyundai came to Canada, I think in the 80s.
the Pony was like a Chevette. It reminded me of like a Chevette almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool, actually.
That's kind
Yeah.
of cool. See,
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
That kind of slaps.
Dude,
that's actually pretty cool.
there's guys.
If
There's
I saw that, I would have thought that was a Chevette or
Yeah,
what was
yeah.
the other one? There was the
well, there's like the Chevette. There's the Nova came out like that. Like
yeah, but no, a little bit bigger.
yeah, you know what I mean?
What, the Corolla Nova?
No, like the Chevy Nova had like a
Oh, like Malibu Nova.
yeah, like it, you know how like muscle cars back in the day were like badass, and then they came out with these really bad versions after.
Mustang 2?
Oh.
Mustang 2 was horrible, but no, like even like
Just upset a
look
lot
at
of
the
boomers.
Dodge Dart.
Anyone who wants a Mustang 2, I have one. Barn Find. It has like a friend of the family or a family member.
You know what? I mean,
has
like,
one.
okay, I know they
Like,
tried with the Mustang
asked me to
2.
get
Yeah.
pricing and stuff.
But they,
I was like,
slapped on
oh,
the
why
King
don't I
Cobra
agree?
badge, and it's kind of like lipstick on a pig. If you
Yeah.
like the Mustang 2s, I'm sorry. But, I mean, 5 liters, 150 horsepower.
Yeah. But no, but even the Dodge
This is
Dart
the
was a
four-
muscle car back in the
four-cylinders,
day,
too. They had the
Yep.
weak-
and they came out with the Dodge Dart again, and it was
Not the
pretty
Dodge
much a
Dart
Oh, but
multi-air
no, but
yeah, it
that's-
was like a new neon, right?
Honestly,
Oh, yeah,
there's so
it's
many
actually-
car companies trying to revive these old
Yeah.
brands. Like, there's a few that I think, apart from like what they've done to the community, we won't necessarily attribute that to it. Like the Challenger to
Mhm.
me was like they did a really good job of actually
Of executing
Yeah.
like
it.
bringing it
Yeah,
out
I
where you
agree.
could still recognize it. It was still cool in its own.
Despite the rep that it has, especially in parts around these areas.
That's what I was gonna say.
You know what I mean?
Design wise, I think they did well
Yeah,
with
I think
Yeah.
part
bringing
of
that
the
back.
reputation is because it's been in production so long.
Yeah.
You can
get 'em
get
cheap.
so cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get what, I don't know the horsepower, but the Hemi ones are what, 300 something horsepower,
Yeah.
rear wheel drive. Like
Yeah.
Oh, the
that is
RTs.
just going to lead,
Bumper guards.
Yeah.
And honestly, if not for the Challenger, it would have just been 300 Cs. It
True.
was inevitable that like
point.
timing wise, it's like that was
They
the.
had to.
It's basically the same
Yeah.
thing as
Yeah.
a Charger now.
Pretty
which
much.
Even the Charger is in higher trims. They kind of look cool.
Yep.
Like I
They
can
can.
get it.
They
can
are
look
nice.
like there's that. It's still you could kind of tie it still to that muscle car.
Yeah.
ness.
Well, the SRT line itself is pretty.
They did.
I'm a big fan. Like I like the Demon. Again, I don't have no problem against Challengers. It's just we talked about last time too with the VQs and stuff like that. It's the owners, and not every owner is bad.
Ethan, just kidding.
Yeah.
Shout out to him.
Yeah.
I love
Shade.
you, Ethan.
It's just really. It's
This is
just
our
really
roast
cheap.
now. Ain't on a podcast, but
It's just cheap to get. They're affordable
Yeah.
to get into. To
Oh,
have
yeah.
a rear-wheel drive platform, which
Yes.
for a lot of people, a lot of manufacturers isn't really an option.
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
something that's got enough
nobody's
power to
really
spin the
making
wheels, you know?
new rear wheel drive manual cars.
No. Yeah.
Nobody is, and
No.
a lot of the
Right.
Japanese stuff is getting too expensive. So
you
kinda
gotta think too. Like again, like without involving too much politics and what stuff like that. There's people maybe here nowadays now that back at their home, wherever the country they come from, they don't have cars like we have. So like they got some like ricky dicky, like, you know what I mean, front wheel drive, again, might be something similar to a Hyundai.
K-trucks.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So when
Which you run those dips up there,
Yeah.
they'll slide around that.
They'll go.
And a lot less of a threat when you see that
Seriously.
thing spinning around in a circle. You're not gonna,
yeah,
you know,
but to come here and have a chance at a
you could clear
American
that tailgate
muscle.
if you needed to. Hop over it.
you know what I mean. But to come here and have a chance at an American muscle car
Yeah.
that maybe you've seen in movies and stuff, and you might be able to be able to get into a V6 Challenger or a Hemi or 392. A 392 is not that bad. They're okay again, but it's the owners that make them whatever.
Yeah, but to me, I don't think it's so much tied to even like a cultural thing so much as it is just accessibility
Yeah.
and like and social media. Like
Yeah.
if not for social media and people didn't see, oh, like I just want to be a part of this. People just want to be a part of something, right?
Yeah, this kind of leads into why I even started Northrides in the first place, because so many meets in the GTA they were back in 2015, they were getting bad with takeovers and stuff like that.
That was like
Yeah.
peak takeovers.
Yeah, and like
Back then, it would have been 300 Cs.
it would have been 300 Cs, right?
The evolution of
Yeah,
Which is-
exactly.
Which is, just
the takeover car.
A lot of G35s and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like me starting Northrides was kind of to get away from that, and for one of the first meets I went to, it was GTA something. Like every car group now is called either GTA something or North something. And I'd like to make a point
Yeah.
that when I made the name Northrides, it was because we were north of all the other car groups. So I thought, okay, rides, Northrides, whatever. And now it seems like every single car group is either GTA something or
True
the
North-
area
True
code
North
Society.
or
A lot of societies.
and it's like just I'm guilty of it because I did that 10 years ago, but let's try and be creative. Doryoku. That is a unique name for a car group, right?
Yeah.
Blank North or 905 blank, like, come on. Anyways,
Even Max
like-
Tack, Max Tack is a little, and there's people, if they do follow CSCS, I've had Max Tack in my name for years. This is like dating back, I'm talking like 8-9 years in my demo derby days. I've never put it out there and stuff like that, so there might be people think there might be a connection. That has nothing to do with that. But with Northrides, right? Explain the challenges of trying to host meets now, because we just had even one of our meets, one of our favorite meets last night got closed down, right?
Yep.
So
Rip the
We'll
cars
get
in
to
doubles.
that after.
yeah.
so the origin of Northrides, if you want to call it that, it was 4 of us meeting up in a parking lot. A couple guys I went to high school with.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, it was an NA Hawkeye Subaru, my GTI, a automatic Mitsubishi Eclipse, and I don't even remember the other car because it was that great. But this was a long time ago, and that's what we could afford, and those were our cars. And I remember going to meets with my GTI and hearing the comments from other people and feeling like, oh, they don't want me here. Like, I was just there to have fun and meet car people and stuff. And I made a habit of, okay, I'm not going to park next to all the really built cars. I'll kind of go a couple lanes over, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I always felt like I wasn't wanted there because my car, I didn't finance wheels or, shit like that.
No comment. I financed my Cosmos.
When you step
I
on a
financed my
on a
Cosmos.
soundboard with some gunshots, shots fired.
So I...
No, we gotta get a soundboard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
we
me and a couple of the guys I went to high school with thought, you know what, why don't we just make our own car group? And we went for quite a few years. It was going good, but it felt like a job. And it felt like a job having to chase down people and say, hey, stop revving so much, we're going to get kicked out. We used to meet at the Orangeville Mall. Great spot. And we had to stop because a drunk driver who was drinking at the meet launched his car.
Michaels,
He launched his car into the ditch. Cops chased him, all this stuff. And I proactively pulled the meets from there because, this is stupid. It is unbelievably stupid that people would be doing that at a car meet when there are people with their dogs and their children. There's no sense of
Time and place, man.
time and place.
It's not.
all
Yeah,
exact.
it's not worth it.
Yeah,
I don't think
one-
there's a time and place to get drunk and drive. Period.
No.
Well, yeah,
Well,
100%
that,
actually, but
even
yeah.
even when it just comes to hooning, whether that be burnouts, donuts,
Correct.
or revving, that sort of thing. Like, we've all done things in cars
Yeah.
that are not legal, so to
Correct.
speak.
Yeah.
but
Thank you, industrial areas.
yeah,
Anyway.
it's simple. It's not that hard
Yeah.
to find a place and a time
Come
to
on,
do that stuff.
Go to the track, man.
Go to the
Which
Come to the
track.
track.
circles me back to, so I know the track. I get it.
It is
Obviously,
it is
that's the place to
expensive.
go.
Yeah,
It's expensive.
It is.
But if you go to an industrial area,
Okay.
Yeah,
parking lot at 2 a.m. and there's no other cars around, there's no people around.
yeah,
You know, if a tree falls in the wood and nobody's there to hear it,
Correct.
is it a problem?
yeah.
No.
No, true.
And so back
But
in
people want cars.
2018,
People
Yeah.
want people
19, I had pulled the plug on Northrides because it felt like a job. And then COVID happened, like I had mentioned, and then restarted it. And I didn't know anybody this time because a lot of my friends that I had done the car group with, they moved out west, they got married and had kids, they grew out of cars, right? But since restarting it, I've met so many amazing people, and I think I'm year 4 now since restarting it after the hiatus. And it's last year we had a lot of issues, like I mentioned, with the drunk driver and stuff. And so that kind of brought me to make this decision of I'm going to split the group in 2. So I've got Northrides, it's public car meets, it's every car is included, like we want to
Very
make a
inclusive.
great community, very
Yeah.
inclusive.
Chargers,
Chargers, everything,
Hughes.
right?
Pickup trucks.
You
pickup
know,
trucks,
Yeah. All the
everything.
colors of the
everyone,
rainbow.
Tiburons.
Tiburon, you gotta draw the line
No,
somewhere.
that's on the flyer.
Yeah.
No Tiburons.
Listen,
Yeah.
I still know some Tiburon people. I'm trying to get you guys in there. Okay,
Yeah, and so that,
Do you really?
I do actually. There's still a Toronto Tiburon group. I still know guys, man. Seriously, honestly, some of the most.
Posted on car domain.
I think because honestly, I think because it was so embarrassing to own a Tiburon.
Yeah.
That-
even when
yeah.
they were new or hot,
I know.
it was still.
But they-
it was
but
still a thing.
The owners are so nice because I think they all know that they're
yeah.
embarrassing.
No, if you're in on the joke,
Yeah.
it's fine. Like
kind of like having a
K-Truck.
K-Track.
It's
Yeah.
not
I
much
was gonna
different.
say.
Like,
Yeah, but this has got style. Tiburon's a little.
no, but
Little
hey,
rough.
style is subjective. You
Yeah.
know, like
Well,
yeah. There's people that
Yeah.
but probably saw those the double round headlights trying to be like a Celica
Yeah.
GT4 or whatever
Yeah.
GTS.
Yeah.
With that gutless motor, but
Yeah.
Front
but
wheel
yeah,
drive, bro. Come on.
but yeah.
this
So
goes back to so I last year with all these things that happened, I kind of took inspiration from a few other car groups in the GTA to make a private car group and to try to push the caliber of car a little higher. Now because and these meets are private, right?
Mhm.
Private property or
Invite only.
invite
Yeah.
only.
Yeah.
You or you
It's the way
have
you
to
gotta
have
do it
somebody
now.
vouch
It's
for
gonna have to be
you.
like that now.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and that's kind of the direction that I think the GTA car scene is going.
Well,
and
the respectable GTA car scene
respectable
is going.
GTA car scene because there are a lot of meets which we won't mention
Yeah.
that
You
focus.
just say it and just blurt it out. Bro.
Yeah.
I just
There are a lot of meets that
That's it, I'm
focus
done.
on quality or quantity over quality.
Yeah.
And
It's not just meets too. There's even events. Again, we won't name
there
names,
are
but there's
shows we have attended ourselves
yeah.
Mhm.
that there were a lot of stock TDIs that shouldn't have been inside of a show.
No.
But anyways, back to the Northrides Inner Circle split. So I did one on Tuesday, a Northrides public meet. And everybody's invited. Any car. If you don't have a cool car, park off to the side, come meet people. We encourage photographers to come out, people that don't know anybody in the car scene. It's a great way to not feel pressured because a lot of these JDM exclusive meets or Euro show car meets, if you don't know, yeah, and we're all
Oh,
guilty of
yeah,
it, right?
100% guilty.
Yeah.
I don't want to say
You
anything.
like what you like.
You like what you
It's
like.
true,
Yeah.
But that's what I love about what we're doing with Doryoku. We kind of opened it up a little bit more, and
Yeah.
having a collab with Northrides
Yes.
is perfect because it's like we can still get our JDM feel. We have an influence still on all the cars that come in, but
Right.
there's a little bit of everything for
And
everyone.
like
you
the
know?
last couple years of being around more of these track focused JDM meets, I went from wanting cars just to cruise and kind of build them stanced and whatever to actually I'm going to focus on building a track car. I wouldn't have done that 3 years ago if it weren't for meeting guys like
Yeah.
you and other guys in the scene that are more focused on, okay, what does it actually mean? There is no definition of a car, whatever the hell you want to call it.
Sure.
But there is a differentiation between somebody that just wants to park their car and have people look at it versus somebody that actually enjoys driving the car, improving themselves as a driver, and appreciating the effort it takes to get better at something. Not just, I can throw money at something.
Yeah.
This is a skill that I'm trying to improve on.
Yeah, and not only in the aspect of being able to drive the car, but in the building of the car, right?
Oh,
Where
big
it's not
time.
just-
Car.
Where
Big
you're just,
time.
researching, your tire specs, you throw it on and away you
Yeah.
go.
Right.
You're tailoring something to you. Because
Yeah,
a
this
car
is-
setup for me is not necessarily going to be, you might hop in it if it always feels too tight or whatever the case
We
is.
had a perfect
Exactly.
example here today. So, one of our good buddies, Josh, was here and mentioned it, whatever. And he's a guy that came from more of a stancy type of build and more kind of wild.
Genesis.
Genesis, crazy wide body.
A
And
cool look as far as Genesis go. It was.
oh
it
yeah,
was
again, I'm
all
not.
the way there.
I'm not going to
pretty
shoot
wild,
on someone's build unless it's like it's stupid,
Tibron.
right? Tibron. That's gonna be the name of this podcast right here is Tibron. But you know what I mean. But Josh,
Wade loves Tibron.
yeah, pretty much,
The
right?
tail on the Tibron segment.
But Josh was inspired, like coming to one of our meets. And again, like I'm not saying that what we do is like the end all be all. You have to do it this way. It's the right way. But if we had that influence on him, and he has one of the best JDM inspired cars around now.
Well, not just inspired.
It is JDM.
Well,
proper
it's
JDM.
true JDM too,
But
but
he's gone proper like street
Yeah.
legal spec drift
Yeah.
Japan drift car.
He's
Big
done,
time.
He's kind of done the whole theory of like driver mod.
yeah,
He's taken
And-
the car and he's actually like stepped up his game, stepped into motorsport.
And improving as a driver and focusing on
Seat time.
Yeah.
not just here's a car that I bring to a show, wait to get my best top 100 trophy, and
Oh,
then
don't get me
carry
started.
on from there.
This was the whole thing with Doryoku and coming together with Northrides. It's just okay. There's something has to change in the GTA car scene because of the direction it's going, where guys are doing race car things on the street,
Yes.
and we have to bring it to a safer place where not only can they do the race car things at the racetrack, but also help them improve and give them tips and help them build their car properly so they can do it consistently every time and not have to worry about hurting someone. They do it in a safe, proper manner.
Yeah, I the last month or so I've been watching a lot of H2OI after movies. 2015, I went in 2016 with some friends down in Ocean
Was
City.
it good H2OI or was it the
It
bad
was.
H2OI?
It was pre
this is
2017.
Atlantic City, right? This is Atlantic City?
Ocean City, Maryland.
Ocean City. Sorry, my bad.
2017
Yeah.
was the last legitimate year. I went in 2016 with some friends. Road trip in WRXs. One of them started to knock. Shocker.
Wow.
no
Wow.
comment. No
Yeah.
comment.
Anyways, and watching these after movies, the crispy media ones in particular, it's what got me into cars, and just seeing this whole vibe of people are in this beach town and cruising around, and you got a car meet in every parking lot, every gas station, every car wash. It was unreal, to the point where me and 3 other friends, at the time being young and broke, figured out a way to actually get down there and go. And then, like most things, the clout chasers, the Snapchat broccoli heads, whatever you want to call them,
Yes.
they got down there, and it was, do a burnout so I can post it on my Insta story, or do a donut in the intersection here, and then the cops would get called, to the point where people were getting shot, people were jumping cops. Like, that's not a that's not a community, period. That's just criminal activity, whatever you want to call it. I don't want to see cars parked. I want to actually experience my car. Go to a track.
Yeah.
Because
Or industrial.
Or go somewhere
Yeah.
where there's not people around.
doing crappy slides in your 96 month finance Charger is not being a car enthusiast. No. That is just trying to
driving in a circle.
Yeah, it's
It's
driving
kind
in
of
a circle,
embarrassing, to be honest
and it's
with you.
clout chasing. Period.
Yeah.
Like, that is not.
100%.
It's kind of embarrassing.
It is embarrassing,
Yeah.
and it has ruined the car scene, and it has ruined the GTA car scene.
Well, it's only going to get. It's not just tied to GTA. I've been seeing
It is
stuff
everywhere.
with
Yeah.
with Texas. Like I'm into the Texas 2K, like
Yep.
that
Oh,
type
yeah.
of stuff.
Yeah.
And there was
Gatlinburg?
there was a huge takeover in I think Austin,
Mhm.
which is like the kind of capital of Texas, and it's
Thomas
now
Dallas.
they basically it was right downtown, huge takeover. Governor's like, this can't happen
No.
anymore. People are pressuring them, and now you see all these YouTubers, Texas guys who are doing these Texas 2K inspired street racing around those times, all getting getting slammed.
If
Big
I'm
time,
not
man.
wrong, the LZ event, it was in Toronto, or I think it was TMP last
Yeah,
year.
TMP. Yeah.
They moved it to Montreal this year, and again, I don't know all the details, but from what I've been hearing from some of my friends is Quebec does not, like the Quebec police and wherever the track is, the county, they don't want that event going on. And if you're not towing your car there on a trailer where they can't actually stop you, that they are basically pulling over every single car for any
Really?
sticker, for
I
anything.
didn't even know this was going on.
Yeah, like, again,
Why they didn't go back to TMP is.
well, I heard
Well,
it was...
Is there something there?
Oh yes.
Because I didn't know.
iCar. I've been to iCar personally. I've worked there for NASCAR and stuff like that. It's a okay setup for an LZ setup. It's good.
Yeah,
I had a great time for the record
Yeah.
last
Yeah,
summer. That
I
was
bet.
awesome.
It looked cool.
I,
didn't
was
go,
a bit,
but...
I was a bit biased because I had the prime spot with the K truck with
Yeah.
the with first corner
Yeah,
for,
yeah.
for the drifting
Yeah.
and the couch in the back. So
But-
I had a great time.
But now it's getting to the point where now you have people trying to make these sanctioned events through, renting a facility and getting insurance and all that stuff,
Which is fine.
which is great. But now you have the towns not wanting these events happening because they are
the
associating
effect that it has.
yeah,
on,
that butterfly effect or whatever you want to call it of these guys doing a street takeover in Mississauga affects somebody in Oshawa trying to rent a event center.
Yeah.
Good example: post import fest or post import whatever.
Expo
Import Expo.
this year.
I was
Wasn't
gonna
it?
say import show off, but that just dates me.
Yeah.
Post import expo, post import show off. There's various car clubs which will not be mentioned. Will hold a after party meet, and usually the after party meets results in a lot of stupidity.
Big time, man. And again, it's gone out of hand now. Where, like I was saying, like I think Gattenberg for what's the show they host down there again?
Slam enough.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's been some kind of oppression from the town to have that there again, which that says a lot because if you have that many people come to your town,
if it was positive,
Yeah.
it'd be great for any town. It'd be amazing to be in a place that
Big
any
time.
town would want that to come.
Yeah.
Because it only brings money into.
I remember Ocean
Oh, yeah.
City wanting H2I to happen because it brought so much business.
Yeah.
Every
All the
restaurant,
hotel-
every bar, every hotel.
Yeah.
Like they want the even when H2OI, if you want to call it that, Wasaga Beach happened. The reason that happened is because when the border shut down during COVID, people couldn't cross the border. So people thought, let's host our own H2I event in Wasaga Beach. And it was a absolute disaster.
Oh,
to
massive.
the point where, like, I think somebody I kind of know who used to attend Northrides, I think he got stabbed. I don't know. Again, I don't know all the details, but like, why does it have to be this? Why?
yeah,
Like, it will get to a point. Like, I go to Portugal every couple years, and you cannot modify your car. Period. Italy, you cannot modify your car at all.
sucks.
Oh yeah,
And-
in Germany you can't modify your car.
That's
yeah,
why
well,
they
you
build
can
their
in Germany,
cars
you
the way they
gotta-
do.
They tell you how you can modify your car.
Yeah.
Yeah, by the tools you got to use.
And it's getting to a point where we have a pretty liberal approach to what we can do to our vehicles, right?
Yeah.
It's
The States is already like, if you take California as an example,
Yep.
at least
Oh, big time.
they got it rough.
and
Yeah,
it
big
is
time.
Communist California, yes.
yeah,
Seriously.
yeah, and it's getting to a point where I would not be surprised if they just say, okay, modifying your vehicle, no, it's got to be
Straight to
factory
jail.
spec. Yeah, exactly. So then what? Then there's no, because yes, some of the takeover cars are stolen, probably. But
On Facebook Marketplace.
on Facebook Marketplace, cash. Don't
Oh
ask
God,
questions.
everyone's gonna hate us.
I mean, call it.
Yeah.
You see what the
true.
Kia boys selling cars for $50?
I know. Oh, jeez.
But there's a lot of pushback now, I think, on takeover culture because it is affecting legitimate shows from happening.
Yeah.
And to the point where that kind of pushed us a little bit to create our own show. And get together and like, okay, twofold. Let's create an event that we're not highlighting these takeover cars or this or that because there are a lot of car meets in the GTA, and this is X car show, and we're collaborating with 52 different car meet groups that nobody's ever heard of. in a parking lot that we don't have permission to be at.
With 1,000 awards.
With 72,000 awards. It's best female-driven headliner built on a Friday. Like, that is not...
Cut springs on a Civic?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like,
Who got the
most cut springs.
Yeah, most cut springs with a wrap.
yeah. And
Again, I've done some stupid mods, so
Tip rod.
I'm not gonna
Yeah,
trick
but you
people.
don't. But you weren't looking for a trophy.
I
at the
never
end of
cut
the day.
springs on my tip rod. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
You're looking for looks as opposed
Yeah.
to
And
Yeah.
I want to make a point. I don't think that those meets and shows should not exist because people enjoy that. But for us and for people like us, we wanted to create an event where it highlights a different type of car, not just who spent the most money on their vehicle or clout chase or a TikTok vehicle build, you know, that looks great on a 2x2 screen on your iPhone, but from 10 feet away looks like it was bought in a auction yard.
Like a SEMA build?
Bluetooth drive shaft.
I was about to say.
Like a SEMA build?
And so that kind of
Yeah.
pushed us create our own show, DXN Invitational, June 15th.
Ancaster Fairgrounds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
plug.
And
Plug.
Number 6.
focus on... we have a bit of everything. We have fully built show cars.
Yeah.
We have drift cars, legitimate drift cars.
We actually
track
might have
cars,
one of the biggest
spreads.
biggest drift sanctioned cars coming to our event.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because you go to most shows, like I've been to Import Fest and all that stuff, and you get
You
the
might
odd.
get the odd one, part of a.
There is legit drift cars coming,
Yeah.
and I'm talking like buckets
And-
that are
and-
coming, but they're built on that.
purpose built.
Correct.
They're purpose-built drift missiles.
Yes.
And we are pushing and highlighting these track-oriented builds, cars that are built to push you as a driver, not just park your car. Again, we have everything, right? Like, the K-trucks are meant to just kind of park and cruise and look badass.
And carry stuff.
Stuff, right?
Yeah.
You know,
So, like, you know...
Put smiles on people's faces.
Exactly. So we're not trying to say, like, oh, you have to... There is no you have to anything. The
Yeah.
definition of being a car enthusiast can mean anything. It could be you just like cruising around in your stock car, going on a side road every so often and, you know, having fun. Or it's fully building every nut and bolt on your car and going through everything. Like, there is no high horse of car enthusiasm. I don't think that's right. And that's why I started Northrides in the first place. But what we need to kind of make a point of in GTA car scene and everywhere else is you need to stop celebrating mediocrity.
Yes.
Because there are we don't need participation trophies for every single vehicle, whether
Yeah.
it's in a show or in general.
This isn't play day in elementary
Yeah,
school.
if
Yeah.
there are people who will not attend a car meet because they've put a lot of money and effort into their vehicle, and they are worried that somebody in a stock 1.8 Jetta is going to crash into the side of them when they're trying to do a burnout. Like,
or exiting a show and firing off two-step.
and
Yeah.
melting someone's bumper or something
Seriously.
like that.
Yep.
Right?
There's people that are afraid now to come to our shows for
safety. For safety.
safety.
reasons.
Well,
That's
safety,
like
yeah.
that in
Which is
itself,
unfortunate.
whether that be
Yeah.
Safety of risk of.
You should be able to just go and have fun and
It's crazy.
and
man.
enjoy and to be honest with you, if the takeover stuff slowed down and you know what I mean, all that kind of stupidity kind of slowed down, I would go to shows with more kind of regular traffic cars if the vibe checked out. Does that make sense?
I have no problem if at the Northrides meets there is a huge variety of vehicles, vintage cars, JDM,
Yeah.
Euro, and a lot of
Some
just-
exotics.
some
I've seen
exotics,
some exotics.
and
yeah.
and a lot of normal cars. Like, let's be honest, times are tough these days. Not everyone can afford to build or import or do something crazy. So I think it's great that everyone have pride of ownership in their vehicle, no matter what it is. If you're not a jackass.
Yeah.
But if you're an asshole, you can have the nicest car, but if you're going through a meet and just rev bombing the crap out of your VQ or whatever it is, like, nobody wants to see that.
Nobody cares.
Nobody
No.
cares.
No.
It just
No.
becomes frustrating, and then that stops meets from happening.
Yeah.
And there's no need to flex your it's just
Well-
I have a hard time understanding, because especially I relate to you guys and the types of cars that you guys have built and appreciate the work you've all put into your builds. And the people that I associate with through Northrides and Inner Circle and other groups, it is the same thing. It's pride of ownership, and let's be adults about this. And there are people a lot older than us that are just like, I don't understand. They'll pull into a meet that has 500 people, and then everybody goes up to them with their cell phones, and they start doing burnouts, and they start trying to drift, and they'll either hit someone's car, or
but it's not even just the owners too. You gotta there is some onus on the spectator.
Yeah.
A lot of it is like we all get, whether it's you want to call it peer pressure or whatever has you. Like you can see how it can snowball where you have all these people that want to see something. You know, it's funny when we had a Driven, and I'm pulling out a Driven. I can't do anything apart from cruising this thing. I'll ring this little 3-cylinder off. You know, like what do you want from me?
That show rollout was brutal because I mean, you literally couldn't move. Like you turned the wheel, you smoked someone's knee.
Yeah, it was tight. It was really, really tight there.
And everyone, I mean,
well, we saw this stuff last week with Buddy's M4.
Oh yeah,
Left Cars and Coffee.
That was iconic T-shirt though.
Whoever did that. What's his? I don't know the media guy that took that photo. But
amazing.
I
mean, sorry, it's not amazing that the guy crashed his car.
No,
maybe
that's
hurt.
exactly what needs to be done. It needs to be made an example
and made fun of.
You know,
well, but
call them out.
Stoned in the Coliseum. That's what it is.
But that's the type of stuff that kind of has to like slow down. And again, with our show, like we're gonna be focusing more on. You know what I mean?
The grassroots.
Yeah, grassroots, bringing in some nice, clean examples and stuff. And
as well as highlighting a variety of cars.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I wouldn't build a full-on show car where everything is, you know, done to the point of just so that it's been touched, right?
Correct.
And so for our show, we are highlighting grassroots motorsports and drift cars and stuff, as well as bringing a couple different types of cars. A couple show cars, a couple, you know, unique Euro cars or whatever, and it's
stance. You got your stance.
Yeah, we have a couple stance cars. Yeah,
and like where I necessarily wouldn't build another stance car, I can appreciate why somebody would because I've been there.
And one that's done properly.
Dude, there's a couple that are seriously when they're done nice, and there are some nice ones.
My favorite stance car is he comes to Northrides, Ryan, with his Miata, the green one.
Oh yeah,
and he put a lot of work. He doesn't rub. He's static. And he drives that thing everywhere.
And probably respectfully, too.
And he drives the
kind of limited.
You don't really have a choice.
Yeah. He drives the crap out of that car. It's not just a cut springs Miata with a, you know, exhaust out of the hood and your locally hated banner. It's actually, and he painted that car himself. You know, he did all the work himself, and I respect that.
Yeah.
You know?
Regardless of what it is.
Even if someone did it to a Tibron. Yeah. I would respect
it. You heard it here. You heard it here. Right there. Tibron. Acceptable. That's amazing.
But this kind of pushed why I even started the second car group, Inner Circle. So the meets, they tend to happen on private property, so we can... We can make noise, rev, do stuff like that, and not have an issue because... private property. We have permission to be there. As well as setting up midnight cruises where we're not street racing, but we have a point A and a point B on some twisty roads.
And taking advantage of the lack of other drivers.
Yeah. Exactly. Yes. And taking advantage. It's not rush hour traffic. We are, like, there's no cell signal. That's how far out we are. Like, we're not doing this, we're not even doing it, like, in Caledon or Brampton, Mississauga, anything. You are north of Orangeville. Which, for anyone in the GTA, like, are you going to meet up there at midnight? Probably not. That's a long drive and late at night, but that's kind of what you have to do if you want to enjoy this. And
the dedication adds to, like, you know, you're only going to have people who really are about the life.
Oh, exactly. it's at that point you're dealing with true enthusiasts and
correct
and respectable drivers, right?
And you don't have a bunch of broccoli hairs with cameras on the corner
and two steps and all that stuff. Before we kind of end on a good note and stuff like that, so we have the show coming up June 15th. Yep, Ancaster Fairgrounds, which we're definitely excited about, and hopefully a lot of you guys can come and check it out, and don't be afraid to say hi and stuff. What plans you have? Where can people reach you at? Give us a full kind of statement on Northrides.
I'll go pick it up.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
So for the show specific, DXN Invitational on Instagram. My Instagram is jason.northrides and northridesorangeville and Inner Circle. We encourage everybody to come. It's $5 for a ticket.
$5.
Yeah. We are making a point. I remember, I won't say the name, but everyone's going to know who I'm talking about. big Euro show. I went last year with my wife just for the day. So it's a 2-hour drive from Orangeville. And it's cool because it's at a racetrack, and a lot of most people camp there and whatnot.
Yep. I've been there before.
Right.
It's a good event, but yeah.
I want to emphasize it is a fantastic show.
100%.
But my wife and I, Jenny, she's not into cars, but we're like, let's go for a couple hours, right? So we drove 2 hours. I think the tickets, we ended up spending, I don't know if it was $60 or $70 just to get in there for a couple hours. And you eat, that's another $30-$40. Like, so just to attend this show for 2 hours cost $200 between
gas cheaper to go to a Blue Jays game.
It honestly, right?
They buy you a couple of beers at a Blue Jays
Yeah,
game, but
and,
yeah,
I mean, so we made a point of, for our first show, DXN Invitational, it's $5 as a spectator. That gives you the entry level barrier of entry is $5, right? And if somebody couldn't afford that, like if you reached out to us and said, I really want to come, but I can't afford it, like we will work with you. We want you to be there and enjoy proper car culture, right?
And and glizzies.
And glizzies and mad glizzies all day.
Yeah, we got glizzies, tacos. we got a bunch of stuff going on at this show.
I keep watching, as I referenced before, these after movies, and the overall experience that was being in Ocean City myself and just watching these other videos. And just seeing the joy on everyone's faces, being around these cars, interacting with people, meeting new friends, seeing people that they only see and interact with on Instagram and actually getting together. We want everybody to have that experience.
Yes.
And feel safe.
Yes.
And not feel like, even if they're coming as a spectator and their car isn't that great, so they're parked in the spectator lot, they can still enjoy all of these cool cars.
They can get inspired.
They can get inspired to become a better driver, build a cool car, build the car that they have, whatever it might be. There is a lack of, I don't know if it's the word, maybe it's being humble in the car scene or in general in today's society. Where
That's a big word for sure.
Yeah, take a step back and think.
It's taboo nowadays.
Yeah, take a step back and like, am I building this car to just get Instagram followers and terrorize the streets and I'm such a cool guy, like, look at me, whatever, like, stop.
Build the cars for yourself.
Build the cars for yourself. Be a good person. Be an inspiration for a young kid who wants to get into this, because if the example you are setting is you are doing criminal activity, F this, F the police, I don't give a crap, like, that is not you're not being a role model.
No.
And you don't have to be a role model. But no, you're just being an asshole.
You're just being detrimental to what...
Yeah, and you're ruining the scene for the people that actually want to enjoy it.
Yes.
Because if it keeps up, it's just going to end. And so we're trying to take a step through Northrides, Doryoku, DXN Invitational, and there are other people in the car scene too that are trying to make this step, but they are getting shut down. Like the show that got shut down yesterday.
Yeah.
You know? And I think that if I'm going to end on anything, it's just try and
do better.
Do better. Be the reason, be the person and the car and the reason, whatever, that gets a young kid into cars, just like you got into cars as a kid.
Yeah.
We all have
a positive example.
Yeah, we all have an origin story of why we got into this money pit of a hobby.
It's not a money pit. It's just enjoying our gold.
Bro, I got a rotary. It's a money pit, bro.
Yeah.
Not supposed to tell them that.
But no, but in all honesty, like with the whole inspiration and whatever, like again, we were young. We did stuff too and stuff like that. But it doesn't have to be the way it is now. And you don't have to be the perfect person. This and that. But if we can all work together. I mean, we can create a more safe environment. And for example, like you were mentioning, inspiring younger kids. Like at some point, like as we get older, like it probably happened for Vince a while ago. It happened for me not too long ago. You hit a certain age where you're like, oh my gosh, like what was I doing?
Yeah.
What was I thinking? Yeah. And there might be some young people watching this now. They're probably like showing this to all their friends, saying like these boomers, this that, like these guys are whatever, like. There might be people contemplating on messing around with us, which is fine. I don't care. But one day you're going to realize what you're doing at your age now is different than what you're going to be in a couple years, 5-10 years, and at that point you have a better understanding. And I think what we're trying to do is trying to help you guys understand at an earlier age that what you're doing is a threat to society. You're causing problems in the scene with not just local car meets, but now with people's towns that are willing to take a risk on not even making money.
Yep.
Because they don't care. Like, the businesses rather have people not come there than make all that money, which a lot of those, like Gatlinburg and stuff, they thrive off that, right?
Of course.
Same with, like, the one event we were just talking about, you know what I mean? That location makes so much money.
Oh, it's
and
great.
It's a great event, but it starts to get like
it becomes inaccessible because and I get it.
Yeah.
Renting facilities like that is expensive.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
It in tandem with what you're saying, you know, be the change you want to see in the world and the car scene.
100%. Yep.
And don't crap on people if they don't have the coolest car, but also stop encouraging crappy builds. Like, there should be a standard of, like, you should know if your car is crap, like
or at least unsafe.
Or unsafe.
At least unsafe.
Unsafe.
Like that's like, for me. That's
I have
my
a very
thing.
eccentric car taste. You know, a K truck, midgets, all the other cars that I want to get are weird. I was looking at old 2-stroke Saabs the other day, rear engine Saabs with like 38 horsepower. Like, most people will say that sucks, that's trash, that's garbage. But I will be the first to admit that it's weird, it's slow, it's whatever. I am not trying to push. Oh, my BMW is better than your Audi, or you're this, or you're that. Just embrace car culture for what it is, which is a community and like-minded enthusiasts. It's not Doryoku versus X car group.
Yeah,
it's
not even close. Yeah.
It's not Northrides versus that group. It's not BMW versus Mustang. It is, we are a small percentage of people who all have the same hobby. So let's enjoy that together, and let's call out the idiots, the takeover idiots, the broccoli heads that are, you know, taking their mom's Murano and trying to do donuts with it.
Absolutely.
And let's create a positive influence in our own communities and in the car scene, because if we don't, there will be no car scene.
Yeah, we won't be able to do anything.
There will be no car meets.
It's gonna suck.
It'll suck. It'll suck for everybody.
It will eventually get to track only events.
And you'll need a trailer to take your car
and money.
There.
Seriously,
Right?
it will end up being like that, and we don't want that. Like, we like to be able to meet at a random parking lot and hang out and whatever, right? So, but yeah. On that note, that got a little intense at the end there. I enjoyed that.
Got deep.
Yes, but Vincent went to go get our food for anyone that's watching and stuff like that. We're still new at this stuff. I personally, and I know Doryoku, we can't thank Jason enough for being here. Seriously, one of the coolest, most genuine owners around.
He's a gem.
Yeah, really, really, really good dude. DXN Invitational, June 15th, and Castor Fairgrounds.
Yep.
If you want to come out and talk to any of us, like, we're more than willing to give you guys time of day, hang out and stuff like that. If you have any questions.
Keep the Tibrons at home.
Yes.
I'm kidding.
Wow. Tibrons. Other than that, too, Northrides, northrides.orangeville.
Yeah, Northrides Orangeville on Instagram, Inner Circle. With the Inner Circle group, gonna be honest, if I don't know you, you're not getting.
Yeah, that's a very exclusive event, right? But
and my personal Instagram is Jason Northrides, and hopefully we'll see you at a Northrides event, a Doryoku event, and at the DXN Invitational.
Yep, doryoku.streetworks on Instagram, maxattackmotorsports on Instagram, kaizosupplyco on Instagram as well. Thank you guys so much for watching another episode of an Okei podcast. We look forward to our next one.
Be
Take
cool.
care.
Don't drive a Tibron.
Peace.